Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. It is Sunday morning for me, 8 a.m., and we have the gigantic snowstorm coming. That's what they say. But of course, being a weather person, a meteorologist, you can be as wrong as much as you want, and you still have a job. So who knows what's going to happen? I think whenever they say it's going to snow, I see it as, so what you're telling me is that it might snow. Like they're like, there's going to be 8 to 10 inches. And I'm like, but really, what you're telling me is that it might snow. So anyway, I hope it does because I love snow. I don't drive anymore, but when I did, I loved driving in the snow. I don't like driving with other people in the snow, but I love driving in the snow. It's fun. Um, this morning was really freaking powerful. My meeting was powerful. On Sundays, I only go to one meeting typically in the morning. My second meeting doesn't run on Sundays. But today we read from, I don't know what book because I just don't know. But the reading was like two sentences and it was kind of bizarre. But what it did say was there is this side of my sobriety program that is spiritual and it is huge. Okay. So the reading said something like they love the sobriety program except for the spiritual side. And then I don't know. But really I think the sobriety program, there is no side other than the spiritual side. I feel like it's one-sided and it is all spiritual. I feel like the program, somebody said it this morning and it was really great that spirituality, he said, introduced him to everything else, gave him access to everything else. And that is so true for me. Like that really spoke to me. Um, I can't tell you how many times I've looked up the definition for spirituality, and it talks about there's lots of it, depending on where you look it up, there's lots of different definitions for it, but it talks about spirituality is having purpose, connection, um, being focused on the meaning of your life and that sort of thing. That is something that, yeah, when I was drinking and it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm writing my poetry and I'm smoking and yeah, of course I'm like, what is the meaning of life? Where did this all come from? You know what I mean? But that was not spirituality. That was drunken abstract thinking. That's what that was. It was not thinking, that was in seeking an answer. It was, um, I don't even know. It was just so out there. I remember thinking about like the meaning of life. I remember thinking of the massiveness of space but I never applied that to my life and what role I play as a human being among human beings. Um, and that's really more of what spirituality is for me. It's applying my purpose, my meaning of life. Um, as I seek it, I'm applying it to what my role is among other people, my connection with other people. I think that, I've talked about how communication is really where it's at, as far as getting help. That's where it all started for me. I had to reach out for help. There were times when I was just completely hammered in my bedroom and I prayed, God help me. And I've heard that from many people in the program that they got to this point where they said, God, please help me. Because I think that that was like their low. That was they had nowhere else to go. Um, there's people who they talk about foxhole prayers where they're like, God, if you can get me to get out of this mess, I'll never do it again. I'll never drink again. That's not what I'm talking about. This point where we reach just our wits end, there is no help on this earth that that I can see that is going to get me sober, that's going to save my life. And I had nowhere else to turn. That happened to me as well. And I thought it was interesting that when I started hearing other sober people, long-term sober people, that said that was the end of theirs drinking also was, I mean, it wasn't like a snap of a finger, but that was the beginning of a shift in the universe. Um, I can see how the correlation, somebody was talking about this morning, because I shared, that I learned that in sobriety, that the program is a spiritual one, not a religious one. And these are the things that helped me get kick-started, kind of like Flintstone when he's getting ready to drive in his car. He runs his feet in place really fast and then the car goes. That was what was happening to me in my program, where I'm running in place and I'm trying to pick up some kind of spirituality, because that was the lowest hanging fruit for me was spirituality, was connection with other people, was looking inward and being able to get to know myself, because I didn't know myself. I thought I did, but I didn't know myself when I was drinking, because who I was hanging out with was not me. It was drunk me. And drunk me is very different than sober me. I didn't know that, but it is. So being able to get introduced to this idea of spirituality, even when I didn't understand what the word meant and had to keep looking up the definition. The steps build spirituality. And I don't think the word spirituality is anywhere in the steps. I don't know if it's in the, I mean, it must be in the book. I don't know. I'm not one of those people that can reference pages and be like, well, that is on page 84. But I think it's interesting that spirituality is like the foundation of the program and the steps, and yet the steps all talk about God. Um, the guy this morning, one of the many just powerful shares, he said that the courts had ruled a while back, had ruled um, AA as a religious program, not a spiritual one. And I can see that. Sorry, Boris is trying to get near Autumn, and she's sleeping. Boris, go lay down. Go on. Go on. He's like, but I want to lay on mommy's lap too. Go lay down, Boris. Or you can just sit down. That's great. Okay, we're good. Sorry. Um, I can see how they ruled it as a religious program because it says God everywhere. But there are so many people, there's even a section in the book about we agnostics. So why would that be in there if it was a religious program? It's that you can really name anything as your quote unquote God, your higher power. And I don't really agree with this, but some people say, you can designate a doorknob as your higher power as long as it's anything outside of yourself. And that's what introduced me to the idea that my higher power can be everything outside of myself, including my understanding of God, until somebody upset the whole thing a couple months ago. I told you guys when somebody said God is in everything outside of myself, or is in everything. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. Now my higher power has to shift again. So all of this to say that I didn't have to have a clear understanding of God or a relationship whatsoever, um, that was um, impressive, I guess, before I got sober or as I got sober. What I needed to do was have the ability, the willingness, the openness to start looking inside myself and start looking at the pain. And I was talking about that yesterday, like the only way to get over, like like I heard when I was younger, Rachel, you need to get over it. I don't have any idea what that means. Or at least I didn't when I was younger. Getting over something doesn't make sense to me. Getting through something to the other side makes sense to me. And the only way to do that is to surface it, to look at it, to let it hurt, to talk about it. And the program allowed me to do that. The steps allowed me to do that. And that gave me an immense amount of self-knowledge to start out with. Um, so over the past several years that I've been sober, um, having that self-knowledge, now I can nurture it. Now I can keep practicing those steps in all of my affairs, and I continue to gain more self-knowledge. And when I'm doing that, when I'm gaining more self-knowledge, I am able to keep evolving all of these concepts in my mind, keep evolving my concept of my higher power. I can keep evolving my sense of purpose, um, evolving, nurturing my connection with others. It started out that I had to reach out for help. I had to get, I had to receive from other people. But the stronger I started becoming from what other people were giving me, the help that other people were giving me, I started to be able to give it away. I started to, um, it started to overflow and I could start giving it. And that's really what this program allows me to do is, I was really good at taking when I was drinking. So when I got into the program, yeah, it was a little hard to ask for help, but I was an expert at taking from other people. And I really was ignorant to the fact that I was not giving back in the least amount. I just looked at the computer. I was like, oh my gosh, did I even hit record? I did. Anyway, I'm out there constantly. So by reaching out for help, I started to connect with other people, and then it just continued to evolve from there. Going to meetings and listening to what other people have to share, I not only got more familiar with who I am and how all of these topics resonate with me and how I might be able to continue to heal and to strengthen some of these weaknesses that I have in my character. But I also was able to understand other people, because I just I learned over time how much other people don't care about me as much as I care about myself. That was what my impression had become. Um, Over time, getting to know people in my program, I learned that it didn't have to be that way. There are people in the world that care about me as much as I care about myself. Like, I want to be happy. I want to be successful. Once I entered into this fellowship, I met people that want me to be happy and want me to be successful too, until eventually I learned that I can give that to others as well. And there's a newcomer esque that's in the program, and she sent me a message this morning, and she said that my shares make her smile and she would like to hang out. And I can't tell you how flattered I am, because number one, it's that she just shifted. Um, she's starting to see that need to connect, that importance, and how helpful it is to connect. And she took it upon herself to connect, and she chose me. And I'm flattered. Like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to hang out with her. And that's because of the program. It is because when I was drinking, I never freaking ever would have wanted to hang out with somebody that I don't know. Especially like by ourselves. I wouldn't have wanted to do that. I would have been scared. I certainly wouldn't have reached out and asked somebody to hang out with me. But because of the program, I'm so excited to have a new friend. So it's just freaking amazing. I think that's why it's so powerful this morning, um, that it started with connection to other people. And I was able to get quiet long enough to start listening to my self-talk and see how screwed up it was. And but it's something that can change, that I can work on. And the steps have helped me do that. And listening to other people in the meeting and how they deal with the same thoughts that go through my head. And I can say, oh, okay, that's an option. I can deal with things that way. And then I was talking yesterday about reaching out to my sponsor. Um, that's the stuff where when the rubber meets the road, when something is really bothering me, later, like after I've gotten sober, after I've seen the benefits and the joy in sobriety, life still happens and I still have things that upset me. I can lean on the people that got me where I am, to lift me back up again. It's really quite amazing. And then as over time, my purpose and my values start getting redefined. So it introduced me to connection with others. It introduced me, spirituality, that is, introduced me to connection with others, to self knowledge, to my purpose. I I thought my purpose was my job and to get to be, you know, the highest position that I desired to be in the company that I worked for. That was my purpose. My purpose was to help, which is funny, help other people because I was a director, to help my staff and other people's staff to be a greater version of themselves at work. And when I had to leave my job because of medical retirement, my purpose shifted, but yet my values stayed the same. Um, in sobriety, I feel like I was able to construct my values. They were always there, but be able to articulate what they are and live that way. Live working towards my values, working for my values. And so this purpose that had to be re-architected when I left my job, um, it really has the same foundation that I really enjoy helping other people. It's funny because I hate talking on the phone and stuff like that, but yet, and I get really nervous about connecting with other people. I do. I get kind of nervous. I think that's that underlying anxiety that will probably always be there for me. But when I am connecting, when I have the willingness and I do it anyway, I turn off my wanter, that voice inside me that's telling me, no, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're gonna mess this up. Who wants to see you? Who wants to listen to you? That voice, I don't have to listen to it. I can do the thing anyway that's good for me. And in the end, I end up like just having so much fun and I'm filled with optimism when I get to nurture my connections with other people. Um, so once these things were all introduced to me through spirituality, I got to start nurturing them. And I think that's why my life is so good right now. It's like when I was drinking, there was this cloak that was dropped over top of the whole world, and I couldn't get to it. I couldn't access it. It was dark and I was blind. And when I took away the drink, the cloak was still there. It was still there, but it was moving. It was kind of like, it was unstable. And as I started to walk through the steps with a sponsor and go to meetings and listen to what people were saying that were underneath that cloak, I started to be able to hear them and be like, wait a minute, they're like me, or I'm like them. Um, and that cloak, I started to like kind of peek under the covers, under that cloak and see like there's some people under there that are just like me, you know? And as I kept showing up for myself, going to meetings, it lifted that cloak up a little more until today. Do I feel like the cloak is completely gone? I, You know what? That cloak still exists, I think, in my life, and it'll drop down. Kind of like what I was sharing about yesterday when I'm feeling disturbed, I'll start isolating. And that's when that cloak drops back over the world. and I become unwilling to look under it, unwilling to connect, um, unwilling to live for my values and work towards my purpose. But when I do the next right thing, it's like, okay, whether you like it or not, turn off your wanter, look under the cloak and talk to somebody under there. And when I do, it pulls the cloak entirely off and I'm present again. I'm present in my life. I'm present in the world around me. I'm not self-centered anymore, and I'm able to be of service to other people. But it all starts in spirituality. It all starts in making a connection, communicating with somebody, even if you're just asking for help. I believe that that is spirituality in progress. So, yeah, I mean, reach out to somebody today. That's all I have. That was it. My thinker just stopped. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you tomorrow.